Prick up your ears.
The sound of DTM.
My car sounds like music to my ears.
My favorite sound when the car is leaving the pits.
My favorite sound, the cheering of the fans. Crank it up.
My favorite sound? The silence before the lights go green.
Full blast.
Downshifting from full speed. When I rev up my engine to its absolute limit. Too close to cool. Cheering on the podium.
Everybody can win it. Be aware.
It's gonna be loud.
The DTM 2016, a season to remember. 10 different race winners, some of them title contenders, until the very end. An international starting field featuring 24 of the best touring car drivers in the world.
The season was really super tight throughout the year. It was really going forwards and backwards in all the 3 championships.
Leading professional motorsport teams fighting for every tenth of a second, every centimetre, and the right to stay in front or to pass. This fight continues away from the track. Sideshows are initiated, filled with life, and closed again. Speed, as usual, on the racetrack. Victory is the only thing that counts for the drivers and their teams, and they give it everything.
And they just never gave up, worked like hell.
There was only one change to the 3 driver lineups in 2016. DTM rookie Esteban Ocon replaced the reigning champion Pascal Wehrlein, who is now a Formula One driver. Apart from this, all the drivers already competed in the 2015 season. A tradition on the modern DTM race calendar, Hockenheim is the first venue, and it's more than a motorsport event. There are concerts by Christina Stürmer and Finn Martin, and of course visits by renowned race drivers like the rallycross ace Ken Block or DTM champion Pascal Wehrlein, who joined Formula One. The series is looking for a successor. An ideal start to the season for 2010 champion Paul di Resta, and for Robert Wickens, the first race weekend at Hockenheim dominated by Mercedes. These 2 drivers top the overall standings after the first 2 races. However, Mercedes were nervous before the start. Nico Müller and Eduardo Mortara, 2 Audi drivers, share the first row and retain their positions against Robert Wickens at first. Race action from the off though. Augusto Farfus, the first victim in a race dominated by battles. Esteban Ocon lays down a first marker. Tom Blomqvist is hit by Daniel Juncadella and spins, and then Tombe, unable to avoid a collision, hits the rear of the BMW. Juncadella once again at the centre of attention. This time though, pushing off Timo Glock. And as the car pirouettes through the gravel, clearly the reactions in the BMW garages are not going to be very favourable.
I lost the car next to Timo, and unfortunately I crashed with him. So the race was over, but I mean, there's not much we could both do from that position on the race.
Shortly afterwards, the 2013 champion retires too. Mike Rockenfeller's Phoenix Audi with a broken suspension. Next to spin off the track is Maximilian Gertz. No external factors involved on that particular occasion though. Eduardo Mortara though is in the lead, though Robert Wickens has passed Nico Müller now to go P2. Another tough battle is between Matthias Ekström and Gary Paffett. through the hairpin here, and various parts of body being thrown across the track because the contact did cause significant damage to the aero parts on both of the cars.
Shouldn't happen because it's incredibly much work for the mechanics tonight, and yeah, but that's all about racing. Maybe a few guys were a bit over-motivated.
Eduardo Mortara will take the Sud curve and head towards the checkered flag to win the race ahead of Robert Wickens and Nico Muller.
E il signor Mortara offre la colazione a tutti.
Team AB Sportsline are very happy indeed with that result.
Everything worked out very well. I was very sick the entire weekend. It was very difficult in the car, so I was like really tired the last 5 laps, but in the end, all good.
Edo Mortara is the first leader in the 2016 season. So it's race 2, and shortly after the start, the pole sitter Paul di Resta leads the race, followed by the BMW driver Maxime Martin and then Mercedes' Gary Paffett. Eduardo Mortara, Bruno Spengler, Esteban Ocon all spin in the exit to the second turn. Let's see it from on board Esteban Ocon's car into the side of Bruno Spengler. Ocon takes avoiding action and clunks into Jamie Green at the same time, and we can see it from a different angle here once again. Eduardo Mortara retires with a broken door. He will therefore lose the lead in the championship. And the first outburst of emotions as Bruno Spengler rants against Esteban Ocon, but apologises shortly afterwards.
He touched me, but it was not his fault. I thought it was him, but it wasn't his fault. He got touched from the rear right. And then he lost a bit control of his car and he touched me and he spun me around, and the race was the end for me there. So.
In the meantime, Gary Paffett has passed Maxime Martin, and Augusto Farfus too overtakes the Belgian to take up the running in P3. There's an unsafe release issue for Gary Paffett in P2, ironically against the fellow Mercedes driver Robert Wickens of all people. Nothing happens, but the stewards of the meeting will impose a drive-through penalty on Gary Paffett. And this is Matthias Ekström, damaging his Audi in a battle with Maximilian Goertz. It's the beginning of something of a friendship.
I was fighting as hard as I could, tried to stay out of trouble, but then I had one contact and then the car broke, and then I lost 2 to 3 seconds a lap and I had no chance anymore.
And in one of the oddest events in the race, Miguel Molina opts for a late entry into the pit lane to take his pit stop and ends up clattering into the pit wall.
Well done, Paul. So from now on, your son have to come to all the races. Well done. Thank you so much.
Paul di Resta takes the race win. He became the father of a son during the winter and finishes the race ahead of Augusto Farfus and Maxime Martin.
I think I need to dedicate this one to my son. The first one he's come to. It's been a great winter, fully focused. Some people said you'd be slower, but maybe it's the difference.
So Paul di Resta is at the top, ahead of fellow Mercedes driver Robert Wickens and Eduardo Mortara. It's a good start for Mercedes-Benz. The Red Bull Ring is the second DTM venue, and one of the circuits with the most beautiful surroundings. The Formula One legend Niki Lauda visits the premier touring car competition, and it's home race for a native Austrian and a driver who chooses to be Austrian, Lucas Auer and Timo Scheider. However, others have a reason to celebrate. It's Marco Wittmann and Timo Glock who ultimately will win the 2 races in Austria. So the pole sitter is Marco Wittmann, and as they head up towards turn number 1, Marco Wittmann will retain the lead, followed by Tom Blomqvist and Eduardo Mortara. Matthias Ekström will spin in turn number 1, caused by contact with Maxime Martin, as we can see, and Audi clearly not very happy about that. Apart from that, it's a relatively calm race, although there'll be a few repairs needed after this exchange between Paul di Resta and Antonio Felix da Costa. At the finish line, Marco Wittmann wins the race ahead of Tom Blomqvist and Eduardo Mortara.
Guys, first win of the season. Great job.
So each manufacturer has clocked up 1 victory now. It's even Stevens in the standings after 3 races.
A Red Bull car on the Red Bull Ring, winning the first time for BMW this season. I think it's the 70th victory in the 250th race now. That's a fantastic weekend, and thanks to the guys that gave me a really nice birthday present.
It's not only the top 3 that get covered in the champagne, the grid girls are not spared either, and BMW know that they're on the pace now.
Really happy for the team. After a tough weekend in Hockenheim, we are back on the podium on the top stop. That's great.
Jamie Green is the pole sitter for race number 2, and going into turn number 1 he will retain the lead and will be followed by Antonio Felix da Costa and Timo Glock, with Eduardo Mortara hot on the heels as well. Paul di Resta, though, sadly was unable to get off the line here. As the cars headed uphill once again towards the Remus turn, Timo Glock will pass Antonio Felix da Costa to take P2. And Timo Glock on a real charge, because just moments later he passes the race leader Jamie Green. And now Timo Glock is in the lead of the race at the Red Bull Ring. Here we can see it from being on board the Timo Glock car as he reeled in the Audi of Jamie Green. Nico Muller went for a high-speed jaunt through the gravel, assisted by the Mercedes driver Robert Wickens. Nico Muller will end up resting against the tyre barriers. We're on board now with Eduardo Mortara, who stages a seemingly unnecessary manoeuvre against Antonio Felix da Costa, which seems to be an act of revenge, with perhaps an unconvincing explanation from Edo now.
He touched me the corner before, that's why we were side by side, and that was already unfair from him. So he decided to play unfair, and then when we get side by side, in the next corner, I'm sorry, why should I lift? I'm inside.
Well, actually, Eduardo Mortara was behind Antonio Felix da Costa, as we can see, so he caused the spin himself, really. Matthias Ekström, well, he passes Jamie Green to go into the P2 position, and it will be Timo Glock that will win the race ahead of Matthias Ekström and Jamie Green. The Red Bull Ring clearly suits BMW.
Okay, Timo, you won your first race with us. Well done, well done.
Marco said to me, go out and just win the race. It's easy. So, and we managed it. It's great. It's good for the team and my guys. Great for BMW, of course.
So the standings following Red Bull Ring. Paul di Resta at the top, 3 points clear of Eduardo Mortara and 6 ahead of Timo Glock. The Lausitz Ring is the third venue on the DTM race calendar, and it's a true motorsport festival for the fans, guaranteeing supreme touring car action together with the ADAC GT Masters. In addition, some sports celebrities visit the circuit, including former heavyweight boxer Axel Schulz. Audi and Mercedes have reason to celebrate because Miguel Molina and Lucas Au win the races at the Lausitz Ring. And as the lights go out for the start of race 1, heading into turn number 1, the left-hander, which is a real pinch point here at the Lausitz Ring, Molina will be passed by Jamie Green right at the start. Robert Wickens, who is winning the battle for P3, is behind them in his Mercedes-Benz. And Gary Paffett is off the track following contact with Adrien Tombe without a chance of a podium finish now.
He's got pushed off track. I mean, that's got to be more than a warning. That's ridiculous.
Gary Paffett on the team radio, clearly fuming after that incident. Miguel Molina, though, fights back against Jamie Green. And the decisive manoeuvre comes into turn number 1. Eduardo Mortara is battling Timo Glock into the same turn, finishing 8th, and Marco Wittmann will finish P4, the only BMW in the upper reaches of the field.
I'm really happy that we finished 4th, scored a lot of points, which is important, especially on a track which maybe not fits as good as some other tracks to the BMW.
Jamie Green will finish P2. P3 will go the way of Robert Wickens, the race winner, a very happy Miguel Molina.
Yes! 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 Thank you.
Good job, man. Good job, man.
They did really well. And as well the overtaking later on, because I think Miguel was just clearly quicker. And then Jamie got under pressure by Wickens, but he managed to get it to the end, so really, I'm really happy.
So Miguel Molina on the team radio was very happy. He was very happy on the top step of the podium, being soaked in champagne too.
Now it's time to celebrate it, and tomorrow we still have another race. We know that we are competitive here, so we will try to take the perfect points from here.
However, Miguel Molina appears to be over-motivated in the second race, and here you can see he pushes off Augusto Farfus really rather spectacularly. The drive-through penalty is fully justified, and perhaps so too justified the dismay that can be clearly seen in the BMW pit box.
Well, I was just on the inside, and I think he misjudged the braking point, and he completely went too late on the brakes and he completely hit me from the back. Yeah, it's a shame. We are on the hunt, we are fighting, and then yeah, we got pushed out. It was a pretty bad impact.
One, yellow flag, turn one.
And when you see it from that angle, you realise that it really was a big impact. Thankfully, Augusto Farfus uninjured by that. Lucas Auer into turn 1, prevails over Robert Wickens at the start. Timo Glock is P3. And during his pit stop, Eduardo Mortara runs into a mechanic who's injured and is taken to hospital. The race is not going well for the Italian, only P12 and therefore no points. Marco Wittmann retains P6 against Christian Vittoris here. Christian Vittoris running wide, which proves to be emotional for the Mercedes garage and also for a young DTM fan as well. Matthias Ekstrom passes Robert Wickens to move up into P2. Good move by Matthias Ekstrom. And Lucas Auer wins his first DTM race, followed by Matthias Ekstrom and Robert Wickens. And Lucas Auer's happiness is almost eclipsed by that of the Muka Motorsport team. On the top step of the podium, Lucas Auer holds aloft for the first time his DTM Winners' Trophy.
Everything went well. Huge congratulations to Mercedes and Muke. They just deserved it, we deserved it. It was awesome. I drove every lap like qualifying.
Marco Wittmann has sneaked his way up the standings to P2. Matthias Ekstrom is P3, but leading the championship is Robert Wickens.
First time in my DTM career to be leading a championship, so no, it's fantastic. It's a little, I really wanted to keep second there to get a 1-2 for Mercedes, but Eki was so strong. I didn't want to risk too much, and then luckily I was able to stay on the podium because Jamie was right there. So, but 2/3 this weekend, I mean, yeah, really happy.
The Franconian Monaco. The Norris Ring is the highlight of the DTM season. TV and film stars flock to the event. The Franconian and Bavarian delicacies taste particularly good in these really rather perfect race conditions. Audi have waited for a victory at the Norris Ring for 10 years. Now they finally have a reason to celebrate, and a twofold one. Nico Müller and Eduardo Mortara claiming the race wins. And at the start of race 1, it's Christian Vittoris that will take the lead, followed by Matthias Ekstrom. As they head into turn number 1, Eduardo Mortara already looking lively, Robert Wickens too. And Matthias Ekstrom and Christian Vittoris absolutely side by side, and the two of them would fight very hard before eventually Christian Vittoris would lose out on his grip on the lead. Farfus puts Lucas Auer under pressure. The city circuit is known for constant battles. Auer has 2 more episodes of contact with Nico Müller and also with Marco Wittmann, as we can see. But the others are in no mood to concede ground either, even if they're driving for the same manufacturer. Müller pushes off fellow Audi driver Mike Rockenfeller. Robert Wickens has passed Matthias Ekstrom. Here Matthias tries to come back underneath Robert Wickens, but clatters into Christian Vittoris, taking him off the track.
It was Ekstrom, not Robert, it was Ekstrom.
And from a different angle we can see here.
Have no reverse gear.
100% it could have been avoided. I mean, there's no way Matthias was making that corner. To take out the front 2 cars, I mean, it's a joke. We were running a good top 3, the 3 of us. The race was stabilizing. I mean, Matthias is trying to win a championship too. I don't know what he was thinking.
Well, Matthias Ekstrom avoids a drive-through penalty by retiring. He'll be relegated by 5 positions for Sunday's starting grid. But, of course, that doesn't help Robert Wickens. He's out of the race. The concrete walls that surround the Norris Ring circuit are pretty unforgiving, and the Wall of Shame leader is Eduardo Mortara, closely followed by Jamie Green. Marco Wittmann passes Bruno Spengler for P4.
Starting from P13 and finishing 4th is a great result for me. A lot of good points which we scored. I think yeah, we had a cool head today instead of some other drivers.
Edo Mortara very happy.
Pickups, save fuel and take pickups, please. Well done, very well done.
Obviously, we're very happy to win this race. Yeah, we have lost it with a little bit of bad luck in other opportunities. So this time we won it. Obviously, we would have preferred to win it in a different way.
Well, Eduardo Mortara is overall leader once again. Jamie Green is now a contender for the championship title too. At the start of race 2, Tom Blomqvist will take the lead. Keep your eyes on Matthias Ekström as we head in towards turn number 1. He has a different concept of the braking point and will hit the back end of Paul de Resta's car, damaging it as well as his own car too. Here we can see it from on board with Matthias Ekström. There is a lock-up from Paul de Resta, and there the crunch from the Audi on the Mercedes-Benz. Nico Müller is in the pit lane.
Pit lane clear, pit lane clear. Fighting for position, end of pit straight now.
And that position that he's fighting for is P1, which Nico Müller takes. Marco Wittmann passes Robert Wickens. P6 would mean 8 crucial points in the battle for the championship. Robert Wickens in a tough battle with Eduardo Mortara. The reactions on the Mercedes pit wall really tell it all. Just behind the two Mercedes here, Marco Wittmann will pass Robert Wickens, and that crucially for P6, and that would mean 8 very important points. Nico Müller's first DTM win. Tom Blomqvist and Maxime Martin finished P2, P3. Audi very pleased with a successful race weekend. Big smile from Dieter Gas on the pit wall, and a big smile from Nico Müller on the top step of the podium.
I've had a little taste of how good it could feel when I was on the podium in Hockenheim, but it's just, it's just stunning. I mean, to be up there and know that you've achieved what you've worked for such a long time is a great feeling.
So in the Drivers' Championship, Marco Wittmann at the top for the first time this season, but Mortara and de Resta are very close too. The Circuit Park Zandvoort is the stage of the fight for the Midpoint Championship. Natural grandstands carved out of sand dunes creates a holiday atmosphere at this racing circuit. And Robert Wickens and Jamie Green will be victorious in Zandvoort. The top 3 in race 1 is settled straight after the start. Robert Wickens, Marco Wittmann and Christian Vittoris. There was a crash right at the very start, which was between Maximilian Goertz and Adrien Tombe. Both cars out of the race, and there you can see the contact between the two, which causes Maximilian Goertz to dive out onto the grass and various bits of bodywork to fly around the track, as we can see from our splitter camera on board the car there. Zandvoort is very much an old school circuit with no acres of tarmac runoff area, as Augusto Farfus found out. Eduardo Mortara got a drive-through penalty for failing to observe a slow zone. However, it would appear that there were some questions to be asked over the data that was sent back, potentially being inaccurate. Here's Dieter Gas.
Edo was penalized for something which was not correct.
So P17, the best he could do, and crucial points for the championship go begging. It's an easy race win for Mercedes and Robert Wickens, a clear-cut lights-to-flag victory.
Okay, Rob, very well. Very nice, man. Very nice. Pick up rubber. Well done.
Robert did really a great job after the safety car. He just could pull a big gap and drive his own race. So really great day for him, pole position, and then a really good victory here. So we're really happy to win this here in Zandvoort, because that's a long time ago we could win here. So pretty happy for the team.
Robert Wickens on the podium then. He had steering problems during quali, which were fixed in the last few minutes. He went on, of course, to secure the pole position and the victory.
Wins for the guys, it's for the team. I wouldn't be here without them, and now I have to try to do it again tomorrow.
René Rast replaces Adrien Tombe, who sustained a hand injury during the crash at the start of race 1. And it's Jamie Green and Gary Paffett, P1 and P2, as they head into turn number 1 here at Zandvoort. Timo Scheider already in strife, having been pushed by Augusto Farfus, as you can see. And Robert Wickens passes Gary Paffett in the early stages of the race to take up P2. It's been the story of Eduardo Mortara and pit stops. He almost collides with Vittoris when he's released. He remains 4th at first. And then there's more strife for Mercedes as Robert Wickens skids off the track with a slow puncture.
15 seconds, pit stop Wickens, tyre set 7.
It's a real shame. You know, we're doing a job that's good enough to win a championship this year, but we're not getting the luck to go along with it.
And there's more tough luck for Mercedes-Benz as Christian Vitouras has tyre damage and Eduardo Mortara will pass him for P3. Marco Wittmann will secure another 4th place, retaining the overall lead in the championship stakes.
It was a good weekend for us. Yesterday P2, today P4. So we scored good points, 30 points, which are important for the championship. And yeah, I mean, the goal was to make some positions up from P7 starting, and that's what we did actually.
Jamie Green wins the race, followed by Gary Paffett and then Eduardo Mortara.
Well done, I think. They call it awesome in English.
Jamie managed that in an excellent way. And if we look at the complete Audi result, 1.357, couldn't have asked for more, I think.
Well, on the top step of the podium, and deservedly so, Jamie Green, the British driver, celebrates his race win.
For me, winning in Zandvoort is something I've not done in DTM, so it really means a lot to me. This is a proper racetrack, and to win here is something I've been wanting to achieve for a long time.
And in the Drivers' Championship, Marco Wittmann is now 7 points clear of Jamie Green, but Mortara and Wickens are still in the battle for the title. And it's the long haul, as the DTM visits the Moscow Raceway for the 4th time in a row. Many would argue that the trip is worth it for the grid girls alone. Robert Wickens and Marco Wittmann will top the podium. It's a poor result for Audi. Heavy rain in race 1 means the safety car is deployed for the start. And Gary Paffett leads the race, followed by Robert Wickens and Paul di Resta. The absolutely atrocious conditions at the Moscow Raceway clearly suiting the Mercedes-Benz cars, and some more than others, as Robert Wickens is led past by Gary Paffett, and so Robert Wickens will take up the lead of the race. Eduardo Mortara stages a manoeuvre against the DTM rookie Felix Rosenqvist. The new Swede will finish 10th and clocks up a point in his debut.
I said to myself that my target is to not be last, and I think we did a lot better than that. So yeah, I mean, to jump in and to be competitive here in Moscow was, yeah, I'm very pleased with that.
Gary Paffett lets Paul di Resta pass now for P2. The Scot is still therefore a competitor for the championship title from a Mercedes point of view. Paul di Resta really experiencing aquaplaning, but Gary Paffett is very considerate and doesn't attack the Scotsman. In the meantime, Eduardo Mortara allows Jamie Green to pass. Seems to be a team order from Audi.
Last year I struggled in the wet conditions. This year we seem to be quick again in the wet, so that gives me good confidence going forward that whatever the conditions, then we can fight.
Well, the conditions remained atrocious right until the checkered flag, but the atrocious conditions clearly suiting Mercedes-Benz, Robert Wickens especially, who took the checkered flag just under 11 seconds ahead of Paul di Resta, and Gary Paffett takes at P3. And let's hear from Gary now.
The day's about Mercedes-Benz, to be honest. We had a 1, 2, 3, 4. The car's been incredible and the team really deserve this. Robert had good pace today, second on the grid, won the race, and now he's got a good shot at the championship. So
Robert Wickens then close to the top in the drivers' standings after his victory. Also because Marco Wittmann fails to take points for a change. So to the next day, and pleasingly, conditions are a lot better. At the start, Marco Wittmann ahead of Tom Blomqvist and Robert Wickens as they head in towards turn number 1. It would prove to be a nightmare for Jamie Green, who in P13 at this stage causes Antonio Felix da Costa to spin, which incurs the first of what would become 2 drive-through penalties for him.
It was a messy day for me. I think I have to accept that the drive-through was fair. And then I pushed too hard on the pit entry and was over the speed limit on the pit entry, so I got a second drive-through, 2 for the price of 1.
Bruno Spengler overtakes Robert Wickens to take up P3. It'll be the only podium finish for the 2012 champion this season. Paul di Resta is another one that would not bank any points from this visit to Moscow. On the inside of Timo Glock, causing Timo Glock to spin. It was a torrid time of it for Audi because the best of the Audis was Edoardo Mortara, who was in P6. So clearly the Moscow Raceway, for whatever reason, not suiting Audi during their visit for 2016.
Today was just an example of you should never give up, you should always try to push, and today we achieved a little bit the best of what we could do.
As has been proved all season long. The race 1 result doesn't necessarily give you the form guide for race number 2 in DTM, because P19 yesterday, but today's winner, Marco Wittmann, ahead of Tom Blomqvist and Bruno Spengler.
After yesterday's pretty bad race, we came back and had a really good Sunday, so I'm really happy. The pace was there all day long, and fantastic race.
In the overall standings, Marco Wittmann has passed Robert Wickens. Green is now 26 points short. Mortara is 30 points short. DTM races 13 and 14 are at the Nürburgring. The fans are treated to lots of action. First, the fans barbecue with the drivers. Bruno Spengler, Antonio Felix da Costa and co. shine off the track too. Grid girls stroll around the track. And Marco Wittmann and Edoardo Mortara are the race winners in the Eifel region. And at the start of race 1, Marco Wittmann is the pole sitter, and going into turn number 1 he will retain the lead, fighting just behind him Tom Blomqvist and Jamie Green. So they all go through turn 1 safely. Audi and BMW are pretty pleased with that successful start to race number 1. Augusto Farfus, though, he would spin after being pushed by Adrien Tombe. And Edoardo Mortara on a charge will pass Jamie Green for P3 as they head past the back of the paddock in towards the chicane here at the Nürburgring. Robert Wickens, passed by Maxime Martin, will finish 9th. And Edoardo Mortara is going to attack Tom Blomqvist in the NGK chicane. However, he gets pushed off rather roughly, takes a shortcut, but Tom Blomqvist will overtake him again. Timo Scheider pushes Gary Paffett off, incurring a drive-through penalty. And Matthias Ekström is also involved in a fairly hard manoeuvre against Maximilian Goertz here. He would also be punished with a drive-through penalty. The old hands of the DTM are clearly more aggressive than the younger drivers today. Mortara lets Jamie Green pass for P3, another team order perhaps. However, Marco Wittmann will win the race ahead of Tom Blomqvist and Jamie Green, and therefore will extend his lead in the overall drivers' standings.
You just won our home race, Marco. Thank you, thanks. Brilliant race.
Thank you guys. Home win for RMG. Thank you guys. What a great car. Thank you, BMW.
It was a fantastic race. I mean, often Saturday is a bit difficult without stop, but I think today you've seen why DTM is the best touring car championship in the world. It was really touring car at its best, and Marco did a great job.
The podium ceremony. Marco Wittmann is presented with the trophy for his 3rd win this season. His lead in the championship is now 35 points. Robert Wickens lies 2nd, with Green and Mortara further back down the order. At the start of race 2, Lucas Auer ahead of Marco Wittmann and Bruno Spengler as they head in towards turn number 1. Mortara is P4 at first. Paul di Resta causes Timo Glock to spin. So they were almost 3 abreast, and Timo Glock comes off the worst, as we can see.
Okay, drive with the front end, yeah? With the front end.
As Jamie Green makes his way out of the pits now, Gary Paffett is on the outside of Jamie Green, the two Brits together. As Gary turns in, there's contact between himself and Jamie Green, and Green gets a drive-through penalty for the contact.
Speaking to him afterwards, he didn't know that I was actually side by side, so he turned in and we hit, and I got a penalty for that. But I don't think it was clearly my fault. I think it was a 50-50 thing.
Eduardo Mortara with a late pit stop returns behind the leader Lucas Auer, but crucially will be in front of Marco Wittmann. So as the Muka Motorsport team and Peter Muka in particular look on from the pit
9
wall,
laps to go.
Eduardo Mortara makes his move on Lucas Auer for the lead. One that will be really pleased about that is Hans-Jürgen Abt from the Abt Sportsline team, who we can see now on the pit wall. Really very, very pleased with Eduardo Mortara's overtake. Matthias Ekstrom puts Marco Wittmann under pressure in the last lap, but Wittmann proves a cool customer all the way to the finish line. So Eduardo Mortara will beat Lucas Auer and Marco Wittmann to the finish line. BMW, Team RMG and Abt Sportsline are going to be very happy. Some about the triumph, others about a great number of points for the championship this weekend. Mortara now boasts as many wins as Wittmann in the current season. However, he'll rue the missed points from mid-season, which was patchy for him.
I lost already like so many points because of like decisions in the championship in Zandvoort. We lost like some points and afterwards just enjoying the moment, to be honest, and this victory feels like the best, to be honest.
In the overall standings, Mortara is Wittmann's chief competitor now, but still 33 points short. He's got 4 races left to make up the gap. The second to last venue on the DTM race calendar, the Hungaroring. It's the series' third visit to the circuit after 1988 and 2014. In terms of victories, the Hungaroring is dominated by Audi this year. Eduardo Mortara, the pole sitter for the first race, with Jamie Green and Miguel Molina able to support him as they head downhill into turn number 1. Eduardo Mortara then. Marco Wittmann diving up the inside of Matthias Ekstrom, as you can see. And it was only a couple of turns later that Matthias Ekstrom would spin. There you can see the Audi pirouetting through the gravel. Maxime Martin pushes Martin Tomczyk, who hits Ekstrom's rear. Ekstrom takes his hands off the steering wheel, a good reaction to avoid injuries. Marco Wittmann will bank another 6 points by finishing in P7. At the finish line, though, Eduardo Mortara with a Leicester flag victory, finishing ahead of Jamie Green and Miguel Molina.
E Mortadella colpisce ancora. Well done, well done. Please save fuel, take pickups.
With Mike Rockefeller, Nico Muller and Adrian Tombe, it was a six-fold victory for Audi. The overall standings looking much better from an Audi point of view now.
Closing the gap, like you said, on Wittmann, and you know, it's looking a little bit better. It's still not looking good, but tomorrow there is another day, and we are going to push as much as today, and hopefully, you know, we can close even more the gap.
Well, at the start of race 2, it's a mediocre start for Eduardo Mortara. And Marco Wittmann and he touch then as they close in on the outside. And there is contact between himself and Mortara. And also contact on Jamie Green from Marco Wittmann, who was into the side of him. Jamie Green really quite innocent in that. So some team radio transmissions then.
We have a puncture. We have a puncture.
So Eduardo Mortara then is going to have to change tyres. In comes Eduardo Mortara. This is not the start that he wanted.
Clear, go.
As Edo makes his way out of the pits, Jamie Green makes his way in, and it will be a retirement. As we look at the replay of the contact then, initially it's between Mortara and Wittmann, and then Wittmann on Jamie Green, who appears to be quite innocent.
I think Wittmann just hit me from the side, and then that broke my car. So, you know, I would have been probably second after turn 1 with the start I made, so it was looking quite good. And then, yeah, nothing more I can do.
So the race order then is Matthias Ekstrom, Adrian Tombe, Daniel Juncadella, and then Marco Wittmann, who will be banking points. So there is Marco Wittmann through the chicane. And now this is Marco Wittmann's pit stop. We can see in graphics where the others are around him. Wittmann on his way out now.
Watch the white line.
So Wittmann rejoins behind Antonio Felix da Costa, but ahead of Tom Blomqvist. So the chase will be on to Antonio Felix da Costa, and let's see it from on board the Marco Wittmann car then. Presumably the defence is not going to be too aggressive from Antonio Felix da Costa. Sure enough, no, Marco Wittmann goes through. To take the win, though, it's going to be Matthias Ekström.
Well done, my friend. Well done. Good job. Really good job. See you on for the last race of the season. Collect pickup. Great job. Well done.
First of all, I'm really happy that Matthias won the race, because I think it was his 22nd victory in the DTM. But also, I'm not happy about the situation with Edo. He was a little bit unlucky in the start, and then also he was unlucky because he fighting for the first corner and he lost the car, but he had a puncture then afterwards, and Marco did it, and it's a shame for the championship.
Matthias Ekström wins then and will miss the final round of DTM due to rallycross duties. He would have liked perhaps a little bit more of an entertaining race.
It was a very boring race, but still sometimes it's good that it's boring. I've been entertaining the people maybe too much sometimes this year, and to finish on a high with a boring race is quite nice.
So Marco Wittmann and BMW's pleasure that you can see here about the points banked won't last very long, because both Marco Wittmann and Daniel Juncker-Deyer will be disqualified because the underbody of their cars proves to be a millimetre too thin after the race. So BMW will appeal at first, but then choose to withdraw their appeal a few days later out of sportsmanship. So the championship is undecided before the season finale, and this is the way the points look as we go in to the final race weekend. Marco Wittmann on 176, Eduardo Mortara on 162. So the last two races for two former DTM champions. Timo Scheider, champion in 2008 and 2009, and Martin Tomczyk in 2011, he was the champion. Some fantastic old footage then, first of Timo Scheider and then of Martin Tomczyk. This is at the centre of attention during the decisive finale, the championship trophy. It's a duel between the undisputed top two drivers of the season. Marco Wittmann with 3 victories and 176 points, and Eduardo Mortara on 162 points and no fewer than 4 wins. Race 1 then, and Marco Wittmann goes from P4. This is Jens Marquardt from BMW.
First corner is going to be difficult, so just hope that our guys, as they always did this year, keep the head cool, keep it smart, and then we'll see.
Eduardo Mortara is 4 places further back from P8. Let's hear from Audi's Dieter Gas.
We're not so far away from Marco Wittmann. And Edo, I think he is used to deal with the pressure he has, and he has a clear mission, which is maximum attack, and I think that's what we want to see from him.
So it is the start of race 1. Miguel Molina will take the lead, followed by Tom Blomqvist and Marco Wittmann. Crucially, Eduardo Mortara, as they go through turn number 1, is P7 at this point. Tom Blomqvist lets Wittmann pass for P3. Timo Glock battling Eduardo Mortara right from the very start, but eventually Eduardo Mortara does get past the all-yellow BMW. And around the Sachs curve, Timo Glock stages something of a comeback, much to Edo Mortara's dismay. So Glock once again ahead of Mortara. Dieter Gas not very happy about it. However, the emotions in the BMW garage of Timo Glock are much more positive. This is Marco Wittmann on Antonio Felix da Costa for 2nd place in the race. Clearly not too much defence by way of Antonio Felix da Costa then. And Eduardo Mortara now has another go at Timo Glock with the Augusto Farfus BMW ahead. Eduardo Mortara does at last go through, and the Abt Sportsline garage are pretty happy about that. It's Augusto Farfus that's next in the target sights of the Audi driver Eduardo Mortara, as Hans-Jürgen Abt encourages him on board with Eduardo Mortara, as now he makes short work of the BMW of Tom Blomqvist. He is fighting all the way to the checkered flag. So from the Parabolica to the hairpin, and Eduardo Mortara on the inside of Antonio Felix da Costa. What a move that is! And the Marco Wittmann car is just ahead of him now and can be seen, and Dieter Gas can hardly contain his excitement. Molina wins, followed by Wittmann and Edo Mortara.
Marco, good race.
Grandissimo Mortara. You could see that the cars in front of me were using DRS quite a lot. and at the beginning of the race, so I was like saving it, and then when it was my time, it was yeah, I decided to go.
I mean, he had for sure a good race coming from 8 to the podium. So, yeah, he did a good job, but overall we gained 3 points. So I'm in a better position. I feel good. We had a good pace today, especially in qualifying. And yeah, it will be interesting to see tomorrow.
Well, let's not forget our race winner, Miguel Molina, who wraps up his second victory this season.
Especially in the start was really good, and the first lap also, I could manage to stay behind in front of Da Costa. So yeah, that was the key. I mean, we had a good car. I was managing the tires, and actually at the end I could. It was not easy, but it was a calm race.
So it all comes down to the final race of the 2016 season. Marco Wittmann starts from P6, Mortara P8. The Italian had steering problems in qualifying, was only able to post one fast lap. Da Costa takes the lead ahead of Gary Paffett. Then it's Tom Blomqvist and Maxime Martin. There are many BMWs in a position to help Marco Wittmann, but there are no Audis for Eduardo Mortara, who is out on his own almost and having to do it just for himself. He's getting closer to Marco Wittmann though as we go on board with him. In a battle though with Maxime Martin and Tom Blomqvist as well as they head towards the hairpin. Eduardo Mortara throwing absolutely everything at it here in his quest to get ahead of the BMW of Marco Wittmann. Side by side with Tom Blomqvist, he does get ahead of Tom Blomqvist. Mortara now fourth then behind Marco Wittmann, who is running P3. Little touch from Tom Blomqvist on the rear of Eduardo Mortara's car, as you could see. And the reactions from Edo say it all. Gary Paffett and Antonio Felix da Costa get together here, as you can see. It looks like a push from Gary Paffett. That will incur a drive-through penalty for him. It's Antonio Felix da Costa's final race in DTM. Let's go on board with Gary Paffett to see it from another angle. As Antonio Felix da Costa comes across the front of Gary Paffett's car, he's got absolutely nowhere to go. So let's hear from the British driver Gary Paffett then.
I was very surprised that when he braked, to be honest. So I was still flat and full throttle when he actually braked, which was a bit of a surprise to me.
We must have been in 2 different races because, you know, I defended my position, I stayed, I didn't move, and he just threw me off the track. He sent me to the Mercedes grandstand.
So it is a drive-through penalty for Gary Paffett. And for a few moments, Marco Wittmann is in the lead for a very short time, but Mortara easily passes him. The Italian now leads the race, but not the championship standings. It's not enough. Wittmann needs to finish 6th or lower to lose the title now. Timo Scheider's manoeuvre against Augusto Farfus here puts him in a negative light in his last race. He causes Farfus to spin, and he too will incur a drive-through penalty. At the pit stops, Wittmann and Mortara change tyres at the same time.
You're racing Di Resta.
Mortara stays in front. Wittmann returns behind Christian Vittoris, Paul Di Resta and Tom Blomqvist. Well, obviously Blomqvist lets Wittmann pass for P4. Wittmann could be 4 points clear of Mortara if they finish in this order. At the finish line, Mortara wins the 5th race in 2016.
Bravo Edo, bravo. Non si poteva fare meglio.
Marco, you did it. You did it. You did it. Thank you.
Mortara is the saddest DTM winner of all time because Marco Wittmann has done enough to take the championship. Whatever Edo did, it was not going to be enough.
Yes, baby! Yes!
Well, there are celebrations at Marco Wittmann's 2nd championship win, but this is great to see. The competitors side by side in their cars. And Eduardo Mortara and Marco Wittmann each congratulating each other. There's great camaraderie between the two of them, and that is fantastic to see. So in the Drivers' Championship then, Eduardo Mortara lacks 4 points for the title, which means the race for the title has not been this close for a long time, but it is won by Marco Wittmann. There is great friendship between both Marco Wittmann and Edo Mortara, as everyone can see. Let's hear from Edo now.
There is only one winner, and today we were not. And I have to say also congrats, to Marco. And if I'm happy about one guy beating me, actually it's him. We've been teammates. We were actually pretty good friends, and he did a tremendous job this year.
Christian Vittoris receives the trophy for 2nd. Paul Di Resta completes the podium. A comforting conclusion to the season for Mercedes, combined with a promise for next season too.
pole, and Christian just took our flags and came in P2 and P3, which is a good end of the season, but I'm pretty sure we will come back much stronger next year.
Well, despite Eduardo Mortara giving it absolutely everything he could, Audi do take the Teams Championship for ABD Sportsline, and also take the Manufacturers Championship, of course, for Audi, as well as Dieter Gas receives that trophy. And good time to catch up with Dieter Gas now and just check on his emotions, I guess.
Somewhat, it's a bitter day, even though we have won both races this weekend. We have won 10 out of 18 during the season, Manufacturers Championship, Team Championship, but we have missed out so narrowly on the Drivers' Championship with 4 points.
The champion is honoured. Marco Wittmann wins his second DTM title to add to his 2014 championship, catching up with the likes of Matthias Ekstrom and Timo Scheider. Only Bernd Schneider on 5 titles and Klaus Ludwig on 3 have clocked up more so far in their DTM careers.
To be second-time champion, it's something special. It was a tough season. We fight it till the end, the last race, and I have to say it's unbelievable. The feelings are great. Full respect to Edo. He won today. He did as well a great job over the season. But at the end, we are champion, and big thank you to all my supporters, family, girlfriend, my team, BMW Motorsport. Unbelievable.
Yeah.